Do you want to learn how to get up to 47 calls in one day through Google's local service ads? Today, I'm going to show you how to do this from start to finish. Let's jump right in. So you can see I'm not full of BS. Here's some examples. 47 leads one single day, right? And we have roofing customer similarly getting a couple leads per day for this and this stat basically means shown in the top 2 results. This means shown in the top 1. And then some other ones, we've done this for pest control, and we've done this for higher ticket services like remodeling as well. First thing, what is Google LSA? I'm just going to walk you through it real quick. First thing you want to know with Google LSA is it is their verified business program, right? It's their lead generation program. These LSA ads will show up above Google Ads. They will show up above Maps. They will show up above everything, right? It is the most impactful thing. And they will show too, and they show it based on merit. The ranking factors we'll get into later. What you need to do, we'll get into later. But Google gives you a verified check mark once you register with them. It only lets people call you, right? And because it shows up at the top and only allows people to call, generally very easy to turn them into estimates in new business if you have a decent sales team. And outside of that, you can filter by zip code, you can filter by job type. And what's nice is you only pay Google when someone who is closable calls you, right? Say, for example, you get someone who's calling about working with you and they want like a job. Cool, doesn't count, right? What you do have to do is a pro tip. You do have to hang up within 30 seconds or report it to a Google representative, right? If you don't have a Google representative and you want one, you kind of have to work with us because we have a lot of businesses in our account to the point where they give us a couple. You will get one if you spend enough too, but generally 20-30% of leads are just unqualified. So if you can't charge us back, you're kind of screwed, unfortunately. And then as you can see, like right here, virtually any home service is offered and professional services too. And outside of that, you can pick and choose the specific job type you want to do within your niche, right? If you want to do any of these, you can. But going into registering, you can even see how much like it would cost just to pay for a lead, right? We'll just go into here. We're just going to go into, let's just go into here. Yeah. For example, you can see this is around 60 to 100 bucks per lead ballpark, but you're probably not going to get 1,000 leads from here because there's not 1,000 people searching for this every month in this zip code, right? In order to start, I just filled this out here really quickly just to show you what you need to set this up. You do need your business name. You do need your business phone number. You do need to select a preference. This really doesn't matter. Just do both. You need the owner name. You need the year founded, number of field workers. You need your street option, and you need to, this doesn't really affect the rankings, but if people try and visit and they can't, then they might report you, which would lead to bad rep on Google. And what's next is, let's just wait for this to load. Wow, this is taking forever. Holy shit. Okay, as you can see, you can exclude certain service areas from showing up. You can include certain service areas from showing up, right? This helps because if you know there are areas you don't want to work in or that typically cannot afford your services, you can exclude them, right? The one thing to note, you should not try and overextend if you're not willing to drive there, right? As you can see, Andover's a little far from Quincy. If you're headquartered in Quincy and you don't want to go here, don't put it here. It's pretty simple. And then next, you can pick your job types, right? You can change this at any time inside of LSA. So if you're not sure, just do all. I'm just doing these ones. This is typically what most roofers want for us and repairs too. And then outside of that, professional licenses, it is important that you show Google this when you can, right? We updated our licenses for one of our customers and they 2x their lead flow on LSA virtually overnight, which is kind of crazy. But the only other thing you really have to do is business hours. And business hours, if you if you're not going to be able to answer the phone, don't put it here. People will call here, right, in the night. But if you can't answer, that dings you. That's not a good thing to do. What you can do to get around this is you can use an overflow answering or 27 answering hour service. So if you want to be open from 9 to 9:30, you just get someone to man the phones when your team is not in office, right? That way you can pick up on some extra calls if you like. And then photos, you do want to add as many photos as you can. And like Google says, before, after photos, successful events, team ones are good. And the more the better. You do want to put photos for all the service types you do, just because it generally helps with the click-through rate and call rate. And it also just makes you look a little bit more legitimate with Google. And then I'm just gonna preview the ad. It would look like this. I'm not gonna hit continue because they have certain terms and conditions that I would legally violate if I started with this. So you can see I'm not full of BS. Here's some examples. 47 leads one single day, right? And we have roofing customer similarly getting a couple leads per day for this with, and this stat basically means shown in the top 2 results. This means shown in the top 1. And then some other ones, we've done this for pest control, and we've done this for higher ticket services like remodeling as well. First thing, what is Google LSA? I'm just going to walk you through it real quick. First thing you want to know with Google LSA is it is their verified business program, right? It's their lead generation program. These LSA ads will show up above Google Ads. They will show up above Maps. They will show up above everything, right? It is the most impactful thing. And they will show too, and they show it based on merit. The ranking factors we'll get into later. What you need to do, we'll get into later. But Google gives you a verified check mark once you register with them. It only lets people call you, right? And because it shows up at the top and only allows people to call, generally very easy to turn them into estimates in new business if you have a decent sales team. And outside of that, you can filter by zip code, you can filter by job type. And what's nice is you only pay Google when someone who is closable calls you, right? Say, for example, you get someone who's calling about working with you and they want like a job. Cool, doesn't count, right? What you do have to do is approach. Okay, here are the key ranking factors. First thing, it's the number and the quality of reviews, right? If you have 100 reviews and your competitor is 2, you are more likely going to be called compared to the other person, right? And then the next one is proximity, right? Google wants to give local businesses the local leads, so that is a factor, right? And the next one is relevance in the first place, right? If you have the, I don't know, this is kind of a weird one, but it is a factor. The biggest one here, though, is definitely responsiveness. If you pick up the phone right away, like you have to pick up the phone right away. Not picking up the phone for LSA leads is kind of a death sentence. We don't like doing messaging ads if we are doing if we're trying to make an account rank a bit higher, just because of the fact that there is a bit of a time delay if you cannot reply within 2 minutes or a minute, for example. And then the other thing too is you actually want to mark the leads. And I'll show what that means really quickly. Okay, so right here, this is where your lead portal is. You can see what happens with your leads, right? And if you have any new leads that you have not replied to or you have not marked, the longer it sits in, the less impact you'll have, right? We were consulting for a pretty large business with over 700 reviews. They had 500 leads in this portal. We started filtering and categorizing those old leads, and we got 3 calls within 10 minutes. Like, it's ridiculous how this is a factor, but you have to do it. And the other thing, your hours, you got to make sure you're open when someone searches you up, right? If you're not and you don't answer, that just goes back into here. What you can do though is you can hire overflow people. I'll talk about that later. And the other thing I would do for budget, I would just make your budget super high, right? Because some leads are going to be lower than others, and some leads are going to be higher priced for whatever reason. And because of that, you really just want to make sure you get all of the leads, and you want to make sure you stop it manually, right? Just so Google actually fills you to where you want to be. And then optimization strategies, just pick up ASAP, mark leads quickly because Google needs to know what's happening with your leads. Gather reviews inside of the LSA platform. You really won't compete if everyone else has 500 reviews and you have 3, and you need to do this manually. It is way more powerful to get a review from LSA from like this customer, for example, from a customer, rather than doing it on your Google business profile, because Google directly links the LSA person to that business profile. And then do it manually. There are ways to automate it for the Google business profile, but honestly, that's smoke and mirrors. Just work it into your processes, incentivize your techs, maybe give them a little bit of a bonus if they get a review from LSA. And the other thing, just post regularly on Google Business Profile and your associated social media accounts. This can even be LinkedIn, it can be Twitter, it can be Facebook, it can be, I don't remember the other ones, but Google wants to see you live. Do this for all your services. Put service photos up for each and before and after too. That doesn't hurt. And then just include all your license, insurance, and business locations. And then outside of that, just remember to be consistent. You can get good leads day one, but it doesn't, you're not going to leapfrog businesses unless you're doing it consistently, because Google's not that volatile, right? If you're consistently doing this for 2 weeks to a couple of months, you will gain traction and you will get up to the ranking that you deserve. And you got to keep in mind, if you're not number one, a business is either doing better than you, has a bigger brand and is doing the same as you, or frankly, you're just not as good as you think you are. But if you want someone to get you more leads for your sales team or admin staff, then we'll run your LSA ads for free for 20 days. If you want to hear a bit more, you are going to need to allocate at least 1,500 during that time period. You may not use it all, right? But you need to be able to put that up front into the ads. And if you have any more questions or trade marketing topics you want us to discuss, just hit the comments below. Let us know what you want us to talk about. And if you're feeling a bit generous today, make sure to give the like button a cookie.